Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel and welcome to my channel. If you're a mountain biker, you've probably been using inner tubing for many different things. For example, you might be using it to get a better grip of your headlight onto your handlebar. Grips well and stays in place. As you can see here, I'm also using it on my GPS. And probably one of the most common uses is as a chain guard. Prevent scratching your beautiful mountain bike. So go ahead, get yourself an inner tube. Start cutting away. And one thing I like to do is to use it to cover my LIPOs. Yes, it does add a little bit of weight, probably 10 grams, but I feel that it really does protect your LIPO from those daily abuses. If you're lucky, most of the time you'll find that the inner tubing actually has some talcum powder, some baby powder. So it's not too difficult to get your LIPO inside. And it's also quite useful in keeping your LIPO well in place. Once it's strapped on your quad, it's definitely not going anywhere. So there you have it. On this LIPO, you can see I've cut a few straps of inner tubing to hold my balance lead in place. And I use a second one when my LIPO's fully discharged. I put my battery lead in like that so I know that it's discharged. So go ahead and cut yourself as many straps as you like. Make them different sizes and you'll see they'll come in real handy. So go ahead and cut yourself a piece about 1.5 centimeters thick. Wrap it around the outside bell of your motor and get a firm grip to remove those props. This is probably one of the most useful tips, I would say, especially on certain motors. Now here you can see I'm just cutting a small piece, exactly the size of the bottom of my Yi-cam, and I use this to hold my camera in place, and I would say it kind of helps remove a little bit of those nasty vibrations. It does dampen a little bit the jello effect. So there you have it, nice firm grip. On this camera, unfortunately, I lost the cover, the SD cover. So I've gone ahead and cut a piece of inner tubing, and I'll just use it to hold my SD card in place in the event of a crash. Hopefully I won't lose my SD card. Now here's an interesting tip. If your antennas tend to come loose, especially triple patch antenna or helical antenna, you really need it to stay firmly in place, especially if you're going long distance. This can be quite useful. What you do is you cut a piece of inner tubing, wrap it around your antenna, make sure it extends about 1 millimeter off the bottom. Then you can use a zip tie to hold it in place. And what you can do now is you'll screw it in place, and the bottom will actually stay in place. The bottom of the inner tubing will grip onto the top of the goggle. So once you've screwed it in place, it's not going anywhere. This is extremely useful for long distance flying, where you really have to point your antenna straight towards your quad, and you absolutely don't want your antenna to be loosening up while you're flying. This will really hold your antenna in place. And when you're working on your motor, maybe you have to remove the stator off the bell, and you need to hold your motor in place to avoid getting any scratches on your pretty motor. Just use a piece of inner tubing.